I don't know if I'm just making this up or if it's just my intuition, but I have this feeling that the guy I'm seeing at the moment, he's getting off and having his little ego stroked by the fact that his housemates have heard us. I don't know if it's legit or not, but there's just some things that I'm just questioning. Like, he never tells me if there's other people in the house, and he never tells me to keep it down or anything like that. And when I ask, are there people here? He'll say no at times, but then there are. And then when we go downstairs, they kind of make these weird eye contact with each other, and they're like, hmm. And it's a very boy club because it's a bunch of dudes living in a house together. And he seems insecure, like it seems like it's like an ego thing, but I'm not too sure. But it's weird, and I don't know.
So I just watched a video of a girl where she said that she got very humbled because she went on a date with a guy, and she said on the text messages he was very flirty. In real life, when they met, he wasn't as forward, and that the date went really well. She said they were out for 2 hours, they went for a walk, they went for a coffee, and then she said she bluntly just asked him, why is he more flirty on text messages than he is in real life? He then humbles her and he says, I think you're a very pretty girl, however, you do look a little bit different than your pictures. That's my opinion now, but I have enjoyed our date, but I do think it's more of a friendly vibe. All the comments are roasting this guy, being like, oh, but he's a walking red flag, you dodged a bullet there, and all this, right? I don't see anything wrong in what he's done. He's been very polite about it. He's went on the date with you, and you've asked him a question and he's told you the truth, but because it's an answer that you don't want to hear, you then come to TikTok for loads of people to then roast this guy, when fair enough, you haven't put a picture of him up, thank God, but he's done the right thing. Some guys, I've heard stories where they'll meet up with someone and they'll leave them in a bar or a restaurant. Some people I know have driven off from people when they've just been stood there waiting. That's the wrong way to deal with it. How this guy handled it, I think, was correct, in my opinion. And I know this because I once used to use a lot of filters on dating apps, and when I met up with a guy once, you could tell he was not interested at all. And then he'd text me and he was like, I think you look a little bit different in your pictures. I was humbled. I never used proper full-on filters ever again. I might use like a smoother filter or a tan filter, but I never used one that made me look like a completely different person because I was humbled. And how that guy done it and how this guy done it was perfectly correct. So I don't know why, I just don't get with the comments why women are so against when people tell the truth.
The rise of modern feminism and women's evolving roles has some men feeling completely disillusioned. They look at the shift in traditional family dynamics, where men used to be the providers and women the caregivers, and they see a complete mess. Women have been sold the idea that career and independence are everything, but that empowerment seems to come at the expense of anything resembling balance. Now, men are left picking up the pieces, struggling to adjust to the chaos that's been created. As women climb the career ladder and gain more independence, the traditional family dynamic that men were raised to value feels increasingly outdated, creating a mismatch in relationships. It's no longer the man who is expected to carry the weight of financial support, but somehow that doesn't come with the respect or admiration women were supposed to show in return. Meanwhile, the idea of equal partnership often clashes with the reality of men and women fighting over household chores, the balance of work and family life, and who's supposed to do what. Even worse, this so-called empowerment has only fueled unrealistic expectations. Women are told they can have it all, and somehow, men are supposed to fall in line and adjust to the idea that their roles as protectors and providers are no longer the gold standard. It's a recipe for dissatisfaction. Women are frustrated by men who don't fit into the mold of the modern relationship, and men are tired of feeling like they can't win, no matter how hard they try. What was once simple has now become a confusing, unworkable mess.
In Germany, if you did not know, it's really common here for when two people go on a first date that they split the bill. So like the woman pays her portion and the man pays his portion. And the other thing about that is that on the date, you're only going to pay for what you consume. So let's say I got a margarita for $8 and he just got water, free water. When the total bill comes out, it's very common for the man or whoever to be like, hey, I didn't drink that margarita, so I don't want to split it like that. I want to pay for what I ate. So I went to the internet to try to figure out why is it like this, because this is not like how it is in America. It's very different. And apparently I can't read because I can't come to understand why. So you telling me you asked me out on a date. You told me I was beautiful. You invited me out to dinner. You're telling me how much you want to marry me and you want me to have your first children. And you tell me when the waiter comes out with the bill, after you said you was going to build a house with your own bare hands for me, and the waiter comes out with the bill and you look at me like this. So are you going to pay? What?
Men always just want virgins that hadn't had to anyone and are really good girls. Like, you want younger women as well, so it's like that whole predator vibe. So
what if I said women are stupid, can't make money, short, and weak because they want a guy that makes more money than them, taller than them, more confident, ambitious, etc.? That would be ludicrous, wouldn't it? We don't shame female preferences. Okay? When a woman says, I want a man that's tall, makes money, etc., you go, girl, you deserve it. That's your preferences. If I say, I want a girl that's not a hoe, that has some sexual temperance, isn't going to embarrass me when I walk in a room, beautiful, young, etc. That's considered, oh, that's toxic and masculine. We demonize male preferences, but we don't demonize female preferences.
The rise of economically independent women has some men feeling like their entire sense of self-worth is being called into question. The traditional role of provider is being upended, and instead of embracing the change, some men feel threatened by women who don't need them to pay the bills. What's even worse? They're told they should be grateful for being in a relationship with women who can fend for themselves, as if their own role is now secondary or obsolete. In reality, these successful, independent women often come off as less desirable to men, not because of their achievements, but because they challenge everything men have been taught about relationships and masculinity.
I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to find someone that makes them happy. I want everybody to live a beautiful life that they want for themselves. I don't wish ill on anybody, but I can't stand the delusion. Now we all got to sit here and we got to be like, oh yeah, this is great. This is somebody who could get 95% of guys. And imagine going through life with that sense of delusion. Like, we see it, and this is an extreme example, but when women walk around like that, imagine walking around thinking, I could get 95% of guys. How many guys are you telling no to because you think you're better than them? Are you? Or is it in your head? Just think about it. If you don't want to wind up alone, you have to have a realistic assessment of what you bring to the table, of your looks, of your capabilities, of what you're willing to do in a relationship, of your character. All of it.
Then there's the attitude problem. More and more men are seeing modern women as entitled, demanding, and hard to please, often with expectations that are straight out of a fantasy. The media doesn't help, painting women as complex, hard-to-figure-out creatures, and men are left scrambling, trying to meet unrealistic standards. Do this, don't do that. Be strong, but not too strong. Be successful, but not too successful. It's a no-win situation. Men feel like they can't win either way. Too much independence and they're seen as a threat. Too little and they're seen as insufficient. The pressure to meet the impossible demands of modern women has left many men wondering if it's even worth the hassle anymore.
So what about the women that didn't choose to raise a kid on their own?
Of the 50+% divorce rate, women are filing 70-80% of all divorces. Women are choosing to wreck their own homes every day. Men are not choosing to wreck their own homes and make women single parents. That's a choice that women are making.
Why? Because their husbands are trash, treating them badly?
Now here we go with the ad hominem stuff. This is the same stuff that's been piped into the culture forever. That when a woman chooses to break her home, it's always the man's fault.
Men have every reason to be wary, given the track record of modern women who seem to treat loyalty and commitment as optional. It's an unsettling truth that women often display behaviors that seem as unpredictable and unstable as the weather, with many men left picking up the pieces. The phrase, "she's not yours, it's just your turn," captures the cold reality that men have come to accept in too many cases. Women initiate divorce 80% of the time. Do the math. How many relationships are truly built to last when this kind of instability runs rampant? The sad irony is that many men do everything right, but they still end up heartbroken when the woman they trusted betrays them. Infidelity isn't just a betrayal of love, it's a slap in the face to everything a man believed in: trust, loyalty, and commitment. And let's not forget the timeless adage, you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. While it may sound harsh, it rings painfully true for many men who've watched their wives, once thought to be the one, walk away, or worse, cheat, leaving them drowning in a sea of broken trust. The willingness with which some women throw loyalty out the window is astonishing, and it's no wonder men are questioning the value of a long-term commitment when betrayal is so common. This disillusionment with modern relationships is a huge part of why the MGTOW movement is thriving. It's not about hatred, it's about protection, emotional self-preservation. Men are increasingly fed up with being seen as disposable, expected to carry all the weight of a relationship only to be discarded when a woman gets bored, dissatisfied, or simply loses interest. The whole system is rigged, and more men are opting out before they even get the chance to feel that gut-wrenching betrayal.
People meet people nowadays. Being a single gal in a single world, where do I go if I don't want to go on dating apps? Like, I don't like dating apps. I've had them. I've tried them. I get disappointed. I get discouraged. Let's be honest. Let's be real. Dating apps, if you're going to think this person is attractive, you're probably going to swipe yes. And if you don't find them attractive, you're going to swipe no. But sometimes people just aren't photogenic. They just don't present themselves well through photos. That's why I just feel like it's so much better to meet people in person. Also, just like with having dating apps, like, it just feels forced. And I don't want it to feel forced. I want to like go out in public, meet someone like in the wild, both just happen to bump into each other, and you're like, and then, you know, sparks fly. I just want to know where. Like, where do the single men go? Where are you going? Where are you hanging out? Like, if you're in the garage, like, come out. Like, are you at the lake? Are you snowmobiling? Are you fishing? It's wintertime. What are you doing right now? It's funny. How am I this amazing? Like, and single? Like, are you kidding me? And like, for the longest time, I just like wasn't worried about it. At this point, I'm like, I'm 31. What is happening? Like, is there just no one left? Put me on a dating show. The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Love Island. I don't even care. Just put me somewhere so I can actually like interact with the male race. I'm not interacting with males. Anyways,
love comes to you when you least expect it. Shut up. I have been trying to not expect it for like 6 years. And also, I was speaking to my friend the other day, and she was like, well, like, are you like trying to like go out of your way to meet people? And I'm like, no, because people are fucking telling me that it comes when you least expect it. So here I am like trying to convince myself I don't want it, and I'm just not expecting it so I can get it, and it's not happening. But then even when I go out of my way to like go on dating apps, it just never works, because these people that I'm meeting aren't my cup of tea, are not wanting what I want. They just want a casual thing. And like, as someone who's never been in any kind of romantic entanglement, my first relationship is not gonna be a fucking casual relationship. And yeah, so like, what one is it? Should I put myself out there, or should I just pretend that I'm not like, oh, I don't want a boyfriend?
Alright guys, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. So on today's episode, these women are claiming to be single and lonely, and they decided to pour out their sorrows on TikTok. I really don't understand why they do that though, but yeah, of course, everybody needs the love of their family, the love of their friends. But beyond that, after you hang out with your friends and you get home, in that big house, you are going to be alone. And that is where the reality sets in. This is one thing I always say about pretense. You can never pretend for long. These ladies were pretending like they are happy. They are pretending like they are happy being single. They always want to be alone. But in reality, they are not. Now take a look at this woman. She lied to herself. Oh, I have my family. I have my friends. I am okay. But she's not okay. Now let's check out some of the comments. Let's see what people had to say about these videos. The first comment says, the men that like her don't even exist in her world. The good, genuine guy who would literally give her everything isn't her type. I disagree that there is a rise in single lonely women. They have always existed. They just didn't broadcast it on social media. They have existed throughout the ages, long before technology. Same with single lonely men. They were just called spinters and bachelors. Not everybody gets picked or finds someone through no fault of their own. Wow. I would just for once like to hear these women lead with what they have to offer instead of crying for what they want. Worthy and deserve are not words familiar to a humble person. Alright guys, I just read the last comment. Let me know what you also think.
Please let's get interactive in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, like this video and share it for me. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.
A man will lose interest when he sees that he is trying way harder than you. It literally doesn't matter how pretty you are, how happy you are, how successful and confident you are. You will lose him simply because you are not giving him any effort.
The sexual liberation movement, part of the grand feminist agenda that has women shouting about their freedom and empowerment, all while leaving men to navigate the wreckage of what used to be normal dating dynamics. Some men are now rightfully questioning whether women are even capable of real long-term relationships. The new liberated women are too busy chasing fleeting thrills, casual flings, and their next Instagram post to be bothered with anything serious. So when men look at modern women, they're less likely to see potential life partners and more likely to see temporary distractions. Meanwhile, the push for gender equality isn't exactly winning hearts and minds either. Traditionalists are watching as men's roles are slowly but surely erased, and frankly, they're not thrilled about it. Women are told they can do it all, except when they can't, of course, but this empowerment often comes at the expense of men's roles as protectors, providers, or even just being taken seriously as partners. The backlash? Men are now looking at women through a very different lens. They're often dismissed as worthless in the context of long-term commitment, because they're seen as too wrapped up in their own autonomy to have anything meaningful to offer in return. The cultural shift toward this warped idea of equality has left men questioning the value of entering relationships where they're expected to act as the providers, emotional laborers, and protectors, while women parade around as if men are just an optional accessory to their empowered lives. It's a mess, and both sides are feeling the repercussions of a society that's decided to toss the old rules aside without fully understanding what's been lost in the process. And that's it for today on Sigma Traits. Make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. Support this channel through membership. You can also support through PayPal, link in the description. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you all tomorrow.